Of course, you believe in visual aids in this majority or minority. Everyone here? Okay. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming. So I'm so proud and glad to be joined by many of my Judiciary Committee colleagues led by Chair Durbin. Now, I know a lot is happening in the Capitol today and tonight, but we want to mark a historic moment here in the Senate. Today, we confirmed the 235th judge, more than any majority has confirmed in decades. This is historic and will have huge and positive implications for the American people for generations to come. Now, with the nation's newest 235th judge, we've confirmed more judges under President Biden than any administration in this century, more judges than any administration going back decades. And listen to this, 1 out of every 4 active judges on the bench has been appointed by this majority. 1 out of every 4. We have some of the most qualified and historic nominees ever confirmed in a 4-year span. 1 out of every 4 judges on the bench is amazing. I want to thank all the senators who worked hard and supported these nominees. It wasn't easy. Their diligence, their stick-to-itiveness, their unity is what led us to this amazing moment here today. Any one of them, when they didn't show up or wanted to dissent or throw a fly in the ointment, could have stopped progress. But we're all here together and happy and proud. These judges are former civil rights lawyers, consumer protection lawyers, federal prosecutors, voting rights experts, labor lawyers, public defenders, teachers, mentors, scholars. Different than in the past, in every walk of life. In the past, so many of the federal judges came from a rarefied group or two. Lawyers in fancy law firms, prosecutors in fancy offices. Not now. We have people who are from all across America and who resemble America. So we're proud of this milestone, not only because of the number, but because of what it means. It means our bench is now far more balanced in its expertise, experiences, and qualifications. We have judges that fought for worker protections, representing factory workers, grocery store workers, taxi drivers, nurses. We have elevated nominees who represented unions, defended freedom of choice, abuse victims, prosecuted drug trafficking. Some have been teachers, some have been mentors. Our nominees are also groundbreaking for their demographic diversity. 150 of these judges are women, making the bench look a little more like America. That's the most under any president. Or individuals like Dale Ho and Myrna Perez, who I proudly urge President Biden to nominate. These two are among the greatest both immigration and voting rights lawyers in the country. They're now on the bench. And of course, we confirm not just the first black woman to the highest court in all the land, but also the first public defender to have the title justice, Ketanji Brown Jackson. Now, all of them were confirmed because they were among the very most qualified individuals for the job. I want to thank President Biden for sending us such an impressive group, Vice President Harris, who helped us confirm nominees, and of course, my friend and colleague, Chairman Dick Durbin. Just about every Tuesday at our lunch, he would get up and remind us how important it was to get these judges done. He would importune colleagues, get those applications in, make sure they're qualified, make sure they're good. He was a pleasant, happy, broken record on this issue. So I also want to thank all of my colleagues here. As I said, it's been a great, great team. Our courts are stronger. Our courts are better. They reflect our country. Every American can be proud of what this Judiciary Committee and this Senate has done. Senator Durbin.
Thanks, Chuck. Thanks for the kind words, Chuck. I want to thank my committee members. This is a tough assignment. The rules of the Judiciary Committee make it absolutely essential for every member to be present. If one member was absent, we had to postpone consideration of nominees. So the people behind me and some others who couldn't join us at this moment really made this happen, and at great personal sacrifice. It was a team effort all the way. And I'll also tell you this, the White House was cooperating with us every step of the way. Joe Biden took a special interest in this. Every time I've seen him in the last 4 years, he's always brought up the Judiciary Committee and the judges first and foremost. It's on his mind because it's part of his life experience as well, and he knows the challenge in filling these vacancies. Now, the lead, of course, is the number 235, but I'd like to suggest to you the second paragraph. Over 80% of these judicial nominees were approved on a bipartisan basis, Democrats and Republicans. I agree with everything Chuck has said about the nature of the people who have been appointed to these positions and who will serve on these courts and what they bring to the experience. But it was our job to not only find the best people, and every single one of them was reviewed and found qualified or well qualified by the American Bar Association. In the previous 4 years under President Trump's first term, that was not the case, but it is the case under President Joe Biden. Their qualifications are beyond any question, just what we need on the bench today. I'm going to close by saying that this has been an extraordinary honor to serve in this committee. I think it's one of the busiest committees on Capitol Hill and one of the best. I'm sorry that we're not going to continue in the majority, but as Chuck said, 1 out of every 4 Article III judges in America has been approved by this committee during the last 4 years. I'm proud of the people who will be representing the ideals of our nation and the values of our Constitution on the bench. Next is my colleague Sheldon Whitehouse from the state of Rhode Island. Sheldon.
Thank you, Dick. I really want to congratulate Chairman Durbin for the diligence and persistence of moving this through our committee. Each of these judges takes time, each of them takes effort, each of them takes review, each of them takes committee preparation, and to move this many is a truly heroic effort. I also want to thank Chuck Schumer, because getting them through committee only gets you half the way. You need to give the floor time to get the votes, and nothing is more precious to a majority leader than floor time. So Chuck, dedicating the floor time to this project has really been significant. The last thing that I want to say is that this is a very significant achievement, and it is very good news, because it means that in court after court after court, people coming in seeking justice will get a fair and honest judge to hear their case. But that does not mean that we can relax our vigilance. Because if you have a billionaire-picked MAGA district judge in a Republican billionaire-controlled circuit feeding to a captured Supreme Court, then all you need is judge shopping to run that MAGA pipeline. Even the Judicial Conference has pushed back against the judge shopping into these MAGA pipelines, but we need to keep a very careful eye on the MAGA pipelines, because that is where the special interests will go to get the decisions they know these just judges will give them. And with that, let me turn it over to my terrific colleague from Minnesota, Amy Klobuchar.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sheldon. Thank you to our leader, Senator Schumer, and someone who was on the Judiciary Committee way back. And
From 1981 to 2015, I was on the Judiciary
There you
Committee,
go.
House and Senate.
Took us a long time to recover.
I still haven't.
anyway, but understands how important this is and how tough it is to get all these judges confirmed, nominated, confirmed, vetted, all of that, and gave us the time to do that. Senator Durbin, with his tremendous leadership. Happy holidays, everyone, by the way. I'm sure, I guess I have my vote for the best holiday suit coat back there in the second row. He's looking at it. That's you. Yeah. Really nice. Look at those on the side. It's subtle, but kind of not subtle.
Amy Klobuchar, Judiciary Committee Fashion critic.
That's exactly. But I know you've all just waited to spend your Friday evening with all of us, and so this is great. But this is truly a moment. It is not just the number of 235, which is kind of incredible given everything we were facing the last 2 years, but it's the quality of these judges. And as my colleagues mentioned, it's important that we have people from different backgrounds that become judges, just like the people from this country don't fit into one mold. I personally, from the state of Minnesota, we have gotten a number of judges through. Now 2 of them were prosecutors, and they were very, very good. Jeff Bryan and Laura Provenzino, Kate Menendez, a public defender, and we've also had federal magistrates, like the 2 that were confirmed from California. And it was just a broad background that I think were really important to the president, really important to us. You know, we are going to take an oath, those of us that just got elected again, that our colleagues have all taken to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. I think we're going to be called on to respect that oath many times next year. But one of the ways we show that we care about that oath is by making sure that we get qualified judges on the bench. That is part of our system of government. And while we can't control what they do, I think we all know that quite well, knowing that we're putting someone in who day in and day out is going to look at the cases before them and make good decisions is a big part of fulfilling our oath. So thank you very much, and I'm proud to be part of this group up here. Thanks. And with that, I turn it over to our wonderful colleague, Senator Blumenthal.
I have to apologize to my colleagues. There's a little bit going on tonight.
Really?
Downstairs.
You're not allowed to leave. Thank you to Senator Schumer for his leadership and for his always pleasant and happy reminder.
Is that great?
Will there be a vote before midnight?
Yeah, we're working through the amendment process right now. That's where I'm going, to work through the amendment process right now.
I just want to second what has been said about the diversity, making this federal bench look like America, which is very different from the practice before, and the quality of people. I've spent most of my life in the courtroom, most of my professional career, that is, and so I appreciate particularly the quality that is represented here. But we need to be mindful that the federal courts are going to be a bulwark. They're going to be the firewall against lawlessness in the executive branch.
Just found out I'm not needed for another 25 minutes.
And I take back all the bad things I said about
Yeah.
Senator Schumer.
And it would pain me to miss any of Senator Blumenthal's remarks.
Luckily, he's not under oath. Let me just say, the courts are going to be the firewall in this country against lawlessness, recklessness, and sheer injustice from a lot of what we'll see in the executive branch, sadly. And that quarter of the entire federal bench that's just been nominated and confirmed is going to be a significant protection for our civil rights and civil liberties to preserve our democracy. I've been in the courtroom when judges stood strong and spoke out in favor of an individual who's wronged, against an injustice to a group, against the lawlessness that often afflicts people in power. And just as power corrupts, potentially, absolutely, we need courts that have the ability and courage, as these judges do, to stand up against it. Finally, let me just say, I agree totally with Sheldon Whitehouse. Not only do we need more judges in the areas right now where there's a lot of judge shopping, but we need safeguards and rules against judge shopping. There are informal rules now, but they're almost impossible to enforce. And those rules need to be turned into binding strictures against bringing cases in tiny districts where favorable results can
result and then be affirmed by a circuit that's dominated by far-right extremist circuit court judges. So we still have work to do, and we're going to continue fighting as a Judiciary Committee against the potential corruption and mismanagement that could still inflict some of the federal courts. With that, I will turn it over to
Alex.
Senator Padilla.
Good evening, everybody. Proud to join the chorus here in celebrating this historic milestone of 235. And I'm so proud that California did its part, not just over the course of the last 4 years, but even just over the course of the last 2 weeks. The 4 final confirmations to the federal bench under the Biden-Harris administration were Californians. In fact, California, over the last 4 years, we confirmed 35 federal judges. And it has been said a couple things. First, a big thank you to Leader Schumer for his not just commitment to floor time for these judges, but at the risk of getting into too much detail, the first 2 years balancing a 50-50 Senate, and these last 2 years a 51-49 Senate. So an occasional illness, an occasional absence, an occasional detractor maybe, but we managed to navigate through all that to arrive at this number. And of course, Chairman Durbin, he thanked us for our commitment as committee members to the process of recruiting people for the White House to consider. And it wouldn't have happened without your constant reminder that you didn't just need the names, you needed us. You needed us on time. You needed us in our seats enough for the confirmation hearings and for the votes to move these nominees to the floor. And I do also echo the pride that we have in the quality of those 235 that have been confirmed. You know, my first days in the Judiciary Committee were my first days in the Senate and the first days of the Biden-Harris administration. We had a collective commitment to diversifying the federal bench for the purpose of having a federal judiciary that better represents the nation and the people that it serves. From a California perspective, I had the privilege and honor of having some great partners in this effort, beginning with the late Senator Dianne Feinstein, who was a longtime member of the committee, one-time chair. After her passing, she was replaced by Senator LaFonza Butler, who was a partner these last 15 months, again, in recruiting, nominating, confirming so many judges. And for the last couple of weeks, Senator Adam Schiff. And so we are ready for the work in the years ahead. The diversity that I spoke of, it's been said before, but it's worth re-emphasizing. It's not just demographic diversity, gender diversity, race diversity, but also diversity of professional background, of life experience, of legal experience and ideology. When there's more opinions in the deliberation of the judiciary, not only is it better outcomes that we can expect, but we've improved the confidence of the public in the judiciary as a result. And so, again, a big, big thank you to all my colleagues, to the White House, all the staff that has helped us get to this point, and a congratulations to our final 2 district judges that were just confirmed today, Judge Serena Murillo and Judge Benjamin Cheeks of California, the great state of California. Let me now introduce our colleague, new to this committee, but not new to public service, Senator from Vermont, Peter Welch.
Thank you. You know, the question is, why is this important? The rule of law, which we used to take for granted, is under enormous stress and is really threatened. And the importance of what we did is that we have 235 jurists who are committed to the rule of law. And that includes a respect for judicial restraint, a respect for the proper role of the legislative branch, and a willingness to step in when there's overreach either by the legislature or the executive. This is going to be important in the struggle that this nation is now engaged in about renewing our democracy, accepting the responsibility each of us have in each branch of government to maintain the system of checks and balances that has been so beneficial to the well-being of our country. Thank you.
Okay, we'll take some questions, if we have any. Yes.
Can you talk about the CR and the Social Security bill? Do you expect to pass both of them before you move?
We are trying very hard to do that. I just filed cloture on the second bill already, the Social Security bill. There are a number of amendments that members have asked for. You know that amendments can draw out the process, but usually in these hours we come to an agreement on them, and that's what we're working to do. Yes.
What's your outlook for the debt limit next year? Do you agree with those in the House who say Democrats should only engage if Trump agrees to abolish it?
Look, I think that the bottom line is that this would have been a very unfortunate time to add the debt limit to any agreement, any CR, and I'm very glad we didn't. Yes. Oh, now I see. I was wondering, what's so big about a blue suit? I didn't see the sleeves and the, okay.
It's my last day of sessions. But you saw the impact that Elon Musk and President Ramaswamy of Doge had on the talks for the continuing resolution in the House this year. You know, what are your thoughts?
I'm glad that the Republican leadership and the Republican colleagues in the House didn't, were able to tell Elon Musk he was wrong when it comes to debt ceiling. Yes, last one.
Leader Schumer, can you address some of the things that didn't make it in the bill or were stripped out of it, like the drug reform?
Look, this was a compromise. We got some major things we wanted in the bill, particularly
Disaster rate?
the disaster relief, which was bigger. President asked for 117. We got 100. We kept the government open, and we didn't get the debt ceiling. So there were three major victories. We didn't get everything we wanted, but I think if you look at the vote in the House, people felt pretty good. It was virtually unanimous. Thank you, everybody.
One more, if you would. Do you think President-elect Trump is taking too much direction from Elon Musk?
I'm not going to comment on that.